Welcome to Get Serious. I wanted to check in about the work items log. I know I had talked about this in a previous episode, um, probably about a week ago. I forget the numbers, but it was kind of related to zone of genius, zone of resentment, any neutral activities, and just being ruthless about first just noting down minute by minute what you're actually working on and what it would classify, in terms of, how your time was spent there. Again, zone of genius. And that's not the thing. Like, I think there's a thought, okay, anything that's like easy or kind of more fun could be zone of genius. That's not necessarily the case. Like, zone of genius is really related. Okay, what are you um again kind of best suited for? Like, it's within your realm of unique ability to drive forward, and generally it's still going to be really hard. Like, running a business is hard, right? So that's not the um qualifier for what's determined there. But you also might get more energy from it as well too. Like, not always. I'm trying to come up with what truly is zone of genius versus not. And having to label it is a good practice when I'm going through this. But yeah, I'm trying to keep it towards like, okay, I felt like more in the groove here, and like this is like my particular skill set. I don't think anybody, at least currently on the team, could do it. And even if I hire it out, I'm not sure like um I'd necessarily be able to do anything else in the business that is higher leverage than that particular activity. And some of that is, related to content creation. Like, I don't think I could give away the podcast or something like that. That is within my zone of genius, or doing it, writing the newsletter, um, for instance, as well, or working through some uh, difficult deal resolutions. Um, I mean, maybe could hand that off at some point here, but like the creativity involved is it's kind of tricky to imagine. Or maybe I'm just not thinking big enough. So that's also another open question here. Is like, again, you only have the resources you have in any given day, and you just have to pay the ignorance task and solve skill deficiencies to get to the next level. So your zone of genius probably will grow over time. I'm just trying to figure out, okay, what fits within it now, and where should I be heading? I wish I had a better answer than that, but it's a learning experience every day. And then kind of labeling, okay, what's neutral or what's zone of resentment. And again, that's like not necessarily defining more of like what's easy, hard, whatever. It's just more, hey, okay, I can just knock out some of these tasks. Or like the really zone of resentment, am I getting it's just a drag. It's just less like, I know I shouldn't be doing this in kind of the most ideal version of the business, but like I feel like I have to. It's those type of tasks. But also depending on the day, how I'm feeling. Like, I've noticed, some things I might label as neutral or zone of resentment. So there's probably a little bit of fluctuation between that, just based on kind of the difficulties of the day, or how many fires are going on there. So that's kind of unique. But I am really glad that I took a start at just being ruthless with noting down minute by minute. And it's not perfect yet, but for the most part, I'm getting a lot of it done, especially the morning to late afternoon, early evening hours. And it really is eye-opening, because we're so good at creating narratives for ourselves that we can be saying, oh yeah, I really don't need to track. Like, I know what I'm doing. I have a calendar, etc. I know what tasks I need to knock out. But until you really note down the minutes for each specific task, um, it it really forced me to be more honest with myself, because I just had incorrect narratives about this. Like, I always used to feel like, yeah, Mondays just they tend to feel more rushed. Again, for a lot of people too, I think it's like a lot of reactivity. People come back after the weekend, and check-ins, especially in the real estate business too. Okay, what closings might be happening, deals that might have came in, and so forth. Like a lot of email. flow. So that day tends to be more reactive and kind of like a catch up, set the tracks for the rest of the week. Um, but I also noticed too, like, various email newsletters or something like and I have a high curation on what stuff I might consume, but Monday tends to be heavier, and like I had to note this Monday that I had spent 42 hours of prime. Like I hate to have to admit this, but it's like I just again have to be honest with myself, honest with you guys on the results of my experiment. Like prime working hours. I mean, we're usually for most people that are waking up at a normal time, usually like the early to mid morning hours tend to be the most productive, like highest energy brain states. Like those are your most precious times to make consistent effort. And then I'm just having a note for this Monday. I had from 10:47 a.m. to 11:32 a.m. Okay, so maybe that's not. Wait a second. 13. No, so that's 45 minutes. I thought it was 42. That's even a little bit worse. So 45 minutes was just catching up with various news or email newsletters. And when I had to note that down, I'm like, I thought, okay, maybe I'm keeping this under like 15 minutes, whatever. I'm just checking in and just having to come to that realization. Boom, 45 minutes of just prime day was just used up. Like it's not productive. Like, I mean, they're not just like random kind of like it's like business oriented and helping kind of grow my knowledge base, some level of wisdom, but it's really not what I should be doing in the mid morning. And it's like, okay, I already started working, then I take a break to do that, and then have to go back. And it's like, okay, no wonder my Mondays were just always feeling so rushed because I wasn't, again, what gets measured gets managed here. Because for some reason I was just vastly underestimating how much time was being spent with, frankly, non-productive activities, things that I would get to, but I could just shift it. Okay, maybe I can check in on some of this at lunch or shift it to evening hours. And my brain is just more beat down anyway, and I can check in with this, and like I'm not going to be able to knock out more larger projects or anything. And so that was just a really, again, kind of eye-opening experience of figuring out, all right, yeah, how much time was I really wasting there? Or there was, you know, another point later in the day, there was just like 15 minutes, I don't know, like from 2:51 to 3:06 p.m. and I just had to note it. And I'm using like color coding in here. It's just time wasted. I just, okay, bullshit around on various emails, checking out like news sites, whatever. And again, it's something that we can just easily kind of rationalize our way through, or oh yeah, I'm just going to check in here and get back to this. But when you really force yourself to do this minute by minute breakdown, I don't think I'm going to do this for the rest of my career, because again, the end goal for doing this is both to align my focus and then also figure out, okay, am I nailing out more, zone of genius type activities versus zone of resentment and neutral, and trying to figure out, okay, how can I orient delegation to my team or hire another team member to handle more of those tasks that aren't within my current zone of genius, so I can grow my zone of genius further. Like, that's the whole intention of doing this. But again, as a side effect of figuring out, whoa, you are not as productive as your subconscious thought I was, or the story that I was telling myself, when I'm actually having to be harshly noting, looking at the clock and saying, okay, how much time am I using on this task? Or we've had like a bigger fire this week, just this transactional deal that has just gone sideways. It should still resolve in our favor here, but the amount of brain damage having to deal with this, and the title company is just a nightmare to work with, and back and forth phone calls, waiting for communication, and it's like 200K that's just like sitting in limbo. Like it's hard to just ignore. And then I have to note, like, okay, yeah, Tuesday of this week, where I just have to note down, okay, I'm supposed to be starting this by like 9:16 a.m. to 9:37 a.m. I'm just I had to note down worrying about this transactional deal. Like I wasn't doing anything else. Couldn't really get into any other, tasks related to the business. I was just sitting in my chair, just catastrophizing and worrying. And I like it, it forces myself to note this. And that's like a zone of resentment, right? Like that is not productive at all. Not even taking steps to try to solve the deal. It's just like literally sitting in anxiety. And then also realizing, okay, like even if we, get our money out and get some decent profit from the sizable transaction fee that we're getting, like, was it worth all of this brain damage? Right now, I would say no. Like if I knew the deal was going to go this way, like I would have never agreed to it. It's just not worth it. To have that in the background, like it's really hard to do deep work and so forth when you have just like this fire that you're just trying to wait for a resolution on. So, again, noting down minute by minute what I'm actually spending time on has helped, like, again, measure the true impact versus just like a nebulous, like I was thinking about this deal, but then I had to get this other work done. So yeah, it's kind of a pain in the butt to do this work log, and forces you to really be even more diligent about what you're doing. But I think it forces me to, like, I've been an entrepreneur for a minute now, and like this is just showing me how much more room I have to grow, because I'm just wasting more time than I realized, because I was just never measuring it properly. And that's the thing, when you're working home office and so forth, you don't necessarily have other people staring at what you're doing or checking in. That's something that you really have to be careful of as well too. So you got to keep yourself accountable on what is actually getting done. So hopefully this one is helpful for you guys. I would suggest giving it a shot, even for a day. I bet you're going to get some pretty interesting insights on how you're spending your time. But yeah, this is something I'm going to continue to do for a while here. So I think there's significant benefit. So with that in mind, seriousland.capital for any of your funding needs. Again, $50K minimum purchase price, $150K plus preferred. I had a really interesting one in New Hampshire that came our way. Waiting for some more info on it. We'll see. Land Deal Due Diligence Facebook group, zero cost review of your land deals, and landpricer.ai for the most reliable land pricing tool on the market. Already been starting to test the product again a bit more internally. Things are moving a lot faster on the back end now. Like, I'm really impressed with what my engineers have put together here. So subscribe and share. More to come. With that, take care, everybody. Bye.